One of the things on the list is using selection list. Selection list is under parameters, acquisition, multi selection groups, and this is how you can set up. Um, so um, for for a new group, you can say these locations and these funds would be used. And every time I order for bestsellers for main library using main books, I ordered 3 copies. Okay, north location is actually the same thing. It's 3 copies, except it comes from their fund. South location is getting 2 copies, and E location is getting one. So when I have this, then I can choose from this selection. I don't have to enter it every time for each order. And you can set up a new group, naming it test, my favorite title, um, and then I can insert and select I can select a library, and I can choose different funds and say 3 cups. Okay, so I can add a group like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete it and close this now. And here, um, under selection list, the function selection list, I can have it in a review file. I can have, let's say, if I'm downloading my records from OCLC, I downloaded 45 records that I know that I want to order for different libraries. But then again, you are doing your own accounting, so this selection list may not be something that you use. Is selection list something you're interested in? That will your library be using this? I can go over it. Would somebody give me a yay or nay? No, nobody. Are you not? Okay, I don't know whether is it, but okay. So I'll go ahead and at least explain it. So you can set up the selection list, and then you can have a review file of the records that you want to select. When you come into the selection list, you bring up you have the choices. You can do, of course, range, review, index. I would say for this, review would be the most productive way of handling it. And then you say start. Once you say start, it brings up the order records and review. Then you can also select. You can put them on queue and order them. But you can also select, as you see, the first one is highlighted as select. And I can add individually. Let me remove that one. Or I can add it as a group. And based on what you saw as multi-selection groups that I have set up in my parameters, then I can select it. Let's say there's I want to choose this way. And then I don't have to, for each record, I don't need to add the location and the fund and copies. I can just add them. So this is very efficient way. If you are ordering multiple libraries, you can use this. And also the location you use ClickClick, ClickClick is another product that I set up different vendors. You can let me go here. Uh, I haven't used it for a long time. Get it. This is you go to the vendor site and let me. Okay, so you use ClickClick. So that's so you will log in, and this is where you can actually talk to the vendors and set up your funds. And once you set it up, you can order from this. You can order from the cards. As you're familiar, you order from your um, cards, download them. Once these are downloaded, I know in one of our servers, actually, we have those card is actually card name is index, so we can search it by that index. So whatever I have ordered, I can quickly transfer, and they are down here. And all of them I can see. These are the orders that were downloaded directly from ClickClick, and because we have the funds, we have the price actually comes from the purchase from their amount on their list. And then the date that is ordered, and as you see, I can search it by that card, the card name, um, and go to the summary. And all of these are on my card, and they were on order, where they are ordered from, how much they are. If I want to um, do multiple, I can create a list with them uh, to um, to make a change in a group change. I can go through them individually and see, make sure that they are in correct order, and then I can also go pay for them. These have, let me see, they have purchase order number. They don't have blanket. They don't have blanket POs, so I can copy this one, and I'm gonna use it as payment for my invoices. But this would be from your vendor. You search your item, you place it in, let's say, I have set up. Let's look for Minecraft. I can put it in my card. Add to my card and select it. So then I can go to my card. But these parts pretty much you are familiar with because you are using it. But once you use it, once you set it up, then it comes down to the record, and you can. It's already in the system. It takes like 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes to get here. So once you get it, then you have them in your system. This is the place. One of the questions that you had, one of the comments, it was when you were talking about downloading it back from the vendor. This would be a one of those that you're actually downloading a whole batch of them. As you put it in your cart, you download it, and but all the order information is actually added to the record at the vendor site, so you don't even have to do much about it once you get your record. Okay? Um, talked about that you have to have your vendor record set. So vendor record, what is my, one more time reviewing it for the codes that needs to be set up. For Edifact, the vendor code 3 has to be set up, and note 3, which is the vendor SAN, vendor standard address number, has to be set up in that record. And once you set that up, then you can go into import invoice and get shipment, and they set it up for you. I'm gonna use the browse, but you will go through FTP because let's go. Let's do it with EBSCO. Okay. And then in this case I'm doing the firm order invoicing, and I'm going to go browse because that's on my desktop. But if you go to FTP, the vendor will give you the address. You just connect to it. Once you connect, then here you are in your remote, your vendor's desktop, and it will have a file name that they have told you what it is, and all you have to do, highlight it, and it says get, and you put it into your file, and it's downloaded. What I'm gonna do is actually get shipment, firm order, let's say EBSCO, and then I'm gonna browse. I'm gonna go to my desktop, and I have the file. Okay. Open it. It will bring up the file. I'm gonna select one of them. Well, my finding is, let's say this is the one. I can say select it. Then it will show you the file. It tells you that there is no fund, so you need to fill that in. Let's say I'm gonna put it on serial, so music, and then order type. I can do it firm order. I can do copies. I can reject it. I can access it, or and then I can process it. Then if I use use tax, I can actually add it here as coded local currency. If I want to change it to foreign currency, I can change it there as well. And then I can say process. There is one to skip. Are you sure you want to process it? And I say yes. And then it has it skipped this one, but then it gives you the information about the what you have ordered, what you have processed, and once you post it, then that information is in your record and is paid for. So paying electronic invoices, it makes life a lot easier than going in there individually. There is my. It may not work because yeah. So I can say go ahead and process. Not the one, are you sure? Yes. And the ones that had problems didn't go through skip, but the other one got accepted. Now once I post, then I can see that invoice information in the record. So let me copy it and say okay. Now I can go back to my pay an invoice, ready to be posted. And I say post all. Okay, and it's gonna send to and it's gonna post both of those because I have two funds, two selected sessions. are my invoice register. It tells you what is on that invoice, what I'm paying for, and it has the invoice summary, what I'm paying for, and that's the $61. And then print OK, yeah. Next one, continue, same thing. Okay, okay, yes. So I'm getting 800 emails, but then I can go into place an order, and I do with record. Look at the record. And this is the amount that it was paid. So it really is it's an easy process. If you have that product, it's really easy to process. At the beginning, you just have to set up your vendor record. Once you set up first you have to talk to your vendor, set it up at their end. They will give you the information that you need. You need to set it up in your vendor record. Once you set it up, then connecting to the vendor record, paying for the items. Let's say if you have 500 items from the same vendor, 200 items, then paying it this way, it's a whole lot less painful than going through the process of paying individually or using blanket deal. Any questions about do you have electronic? Do you have any? Okay. Okay. Well, if you don't, then or you do, this is how you use it. It's as you see, it's very very simple to use. Now, for printing and sending orders, once you create purchase order, now as I go to more and more libraries, printing a purchase order is almost um, I don't want to say zero, but it's very close to it because vendors have, unless they are very specific vendors that you go to, people usually go to the vendor side and then they place an order right there. But if you have orders that you need to print purchase order, you go to the function print send order, and you can limit by vendor. Let's limit it by Amazon. Okay, so these are my only vendors. I can even limit it by location. There are too many of them, I can sort them all. And I can say, now I have different ways of sending it. I can send it, print them, or I can send them via purchase order or via email. The emails, if the email exists in the vendor record, you can actually email them. So if I say PO, print PO, I can select how many copies I want and let me cancel, just say print one, print selected, and print, and now I'm going to be printing it. It's actually printing it on my printer right here. So this is how I can print it. The other option I have from with printing would be if I click print from here, it can print what this page looks like. And if you select the printer, then you can actually email your email account. So you can send it. So if I want to email this thing, I can send it and email it as well. So there are different ways of sending the orders from here. You can print it. You can email it if you have set it up in your vendor record. You can also select your printer and saying standard printer. possibilities that are in your logging. So if you don't see a printer in your logging in this selection, you want to check your logging to see whether to get permission for other things. So then you can print them, email them, and send the purchase orders. Any questions about that? No questions? Okay. Um, then the other thing we want to talk about, according to our agenda, is how to edit a record. So we have that order record. We are going to talk about order records, but on the agenda it says order and other record types. So we are going to talk about the attached records as well. First of all, you have to have permission for any record type that you want to edit. You have to have permission, and each record does have its own permissions to edit. So you may have authorization to edit order records, but not bibliographic records, or vice versa. Or you may have authorization to create and edit item records, but nothing to do with order records. So all depends on your authorization. Once you have that authorization, then you can edit any part of the record. First of all, on the fixed length codes, you can change it. You can change you don't want to change order date. You don't want, in this case, once the item is paid for, you don't want to mess around with the funds. But the other things that you want to change, maybe you want to change the location, maybe the copies are actually not accurate, so you want to change that part. Or in this case, the volume is actually, there is no volume. You want to edit that. Then for the payment, depends on how your system option is set up. And I looked at yours. I don't think yours is turned on. But you can actually edit payment record. And by that, you cannot change payment date or invoice number. You can add a note, change notes. You cannot mess around with the amount. So there are a couple of places the vouchers you cannot change. I think invoice date is maybe something that you can change. There are a couple of places on the paid field that you can change if you turn that on. But other than that, the important stuff still you cannot change. In other words, you cannot go in and change the amount that it's been paid. That's the amount that is paid, and that's again with the money part is already set. You can go in and say, let's say this one, I actually don't want that field in. I can delete that field. It's not there. If I want to insert a note saying send this to cataloging to bindery after cataloging. So I can add that note in it. And it depends in our insert here for notes, we don't have message, so it doesn't. These are not pop-up messages. Internal note, or notes. Those are just added into the record. So that's one way to edit the record in order records. Now, if I want to go back to the bibliographic record, the edit comes from the top, the icons on the top. Now, when I'm looking at this record, I actually see this is not a very good record. I can go in that. And then go to remote. Okay. You know, okay. So let's say one of these close. Let's say this is my title. Okay. At this point, when I bring it in, I can actually look at this record. This is much better record than mine was. So I can say overlay, and I can search for the title again. That's my title. And I can say use this. Okay. And now if I look at my bibliographic record. So I just downloaded a very beautiful record, overlaid the short bib record that existed. And if I go to summary, yes, I don't want duplicate check. Um, go to the summary. It didn't affect my order records. My order records are intact, but it just improved my bibliographic record. Okay, so with this, what I want to show is I can, even for the records that exist in my system, if usually cataloging does this, but depends on the workflow, depends on what you are doing. This is an option that you have that you can go into a remote and bringing a full record. Um, some libraries use this function for the records that they bring from vendors, um, like this is a good example of it. This was a record from a vendor that we downloaded it, but it's a short record, so I have placed my order, and since this record view in public display, which goes into edit, that shouldn't matter. Public display. Usually public display does not have, let me go in here. Public display does not require logging. Okay. So this is the public display. This is what public sees, and this is where it tells you what the orders are, um, how they what is going on with them. With the first one, as you see, the copy is being in process. So if I go back here and look at the first one and select it, it's because it has a receive date. So after that date, it says it's processing, and since there is no item record for it, then it doesn't, it all shows up. That particular order does not have an item record attached to it, so it's still displaying. So this is one of the pieces that you want to keep in mind, how you have set it up and how it's going to display in public. Once, for us, the web option is set up once it's the R date not equal to blank, then it will change it to being processed. For the other ones that it says still on order, these are all the ones that do not have a receive date in in their order record. So that's how you can communicate that kind of information with your public. So when you have a very small bibliographic record, if I go and it's not complete, your patron may not find that information. So again, depends on your workflow. You may want to have a fuller bibliographic record because look at what a skimpy little information I have here in my record. So again, just to show you how you can improve the quality of the record in just one click, just going to your utility, bibutility, and bring it in. And you don't lose any of the order information that you have or item information. In other words, you don't lose any information for the attached records. You just improve the bibliographic record. If you, on the other hand, if you just need to add something in there, let's say this miscellaneous, I want to delete it. I can do that. I can change, I can suppress it, I can display it, or I can insert another field to it. So let's say it's for added for author. I want to add another author to it. It says 130. This is going to show my lack of training in cataloging. But in case, and since I'm talking to acquisitions people, I'm not too upset about it. But you can, according to what you need, you can actually edit the records. Now, if I go to summary, no, I don't want to change it here. If I have the authorization to change the item record, I can also, I can attach the item record. I can also select it and I can edit it for what I need. Okay, so I can insert any of the fields that I want to the record. Any questions about editing a record? Whether it is bib record or item record or order record. Yeah, very quiet group. Okay. Transferring attach record. So let's say I have my order record for this title. Let me search. Let me close that. Let me, instead of something, I'm gonna do my Losers town has many records. So let's say this is the order record the record that has all the attachments. So if I go here and it has my orders attached to it, and if I put all, let's see if there is an item record attached to this as well. Now, if I realize that in editing this bib record, I actually want to place the order in the other record. I can close this. Actually, I want to go to admin settings. When I transfer order record, I always have multiple windows open. So under settings, you go windows, and you change this from single windows mode to multi-window. that there is nothing attached to it. Again, make it a little bit smaller. And I can go under Windows, and I can say tile vertically. Now, see the two records that I have opened, now they are side by side. I'm on the summary on both. This one doesn't have anything attached to it because I have it under all and there is nothing showing up. And this one I'm gonna say all, and I can see the items. Now, for this one, what I want to do is take these orders and I want to go under File, Transfer Attach, and because I have the bibliographic record open, see the number is the same as this, and I can say and retain the source. Okay. Now, if I go here and say orders, now my orders are attached. And you saw it only attached the ones that I selected. Okay. By having the windows side by side, I know exactly what records I am transferring, which one I'm transferring to. Now, the other option I have is actually go here and say transfer attached to the bib record. This one is 49. Now, from here it shows this side. Okay, I'm gonna transfer there and transfer. Because I am doing it from, let me cancel it. Let me go to edit record. Now I'm in the bibliographic record. Because I was doing it from the summary, it was not giving me the option to delete the source. Again, depends on your authorization. Now, if I say edit, transfer attached to this bib, you see it gives me another option, that is transfer attach record and delete the source. In this case, I actually don't need the duplicate bibliographic record, and I'm going to say yes. So now all of them attached here, and this record is gone. So if I close this and search, now I have only two records. So I managed to transfer order information to my selected bibliographic record, and then get rid of the whole record altogether without losing my order information. Okay, so this is how you can transfer. And I highly, highly, highly recommend it that always go to settings and make sure you have it on for Windows. You have it on multi-Windows mode. That way you can have the records side by side. There are two options the way you can see the records. If I double click on this one, and now I have the option, you can do it horizontally as well, and I can say tile them. You have to. Now I want to say tile them horizontally. You have to make them a little bit smaller. Do I have all the records? It's not doing it for me. But you saw how you can do it vertically. Horizontally is one on the top and one is on the bottom. For me, the way my brain works, it's better to have it vertically. But that's the option you also have. You Oh, here it is. So you have one record on the top, one record at the bottom. To me, just is not quite. It's not. It doesn't do it for me, but the option is there. So this is how you can transfer attached. Adding messages to the record. There are a few ways to do it. Let's do like this one. There is the message to the order node. I kind of mentioned this one that you can have this kind of information. Also, you can have a receive action information. You can add to these fixed length codes so that if there are things that you use, you can have them added to your fixed length code. The reason it's more productive to add to fixed length codes is because it's easier to find them or gather them in a create list. So all you have to do in create list order records, um, they are receive action field equal to n, you find all your records. So that's one that those are two ways actually. There are two nodes. And then there is the insert. And the insert is the one you have, in this case, our system is set up to have a note, an internal note. And then there is also a vendor note that you can add that vendor has said, blah, blah. So you can have these kind of inserting. Again, because it is variable length field, that causes people to add information the way they got it, right? And depends on the mood of the person at the time, or how many other things they had to do. They just put some kind of note in there. So gathering them is a little bit more difficult. I guess in one way, in create list would be easy to say a vendor note not equal to blank. So that way you get all of them, and then you can review them and you can look at them. But if it's not consistent, but just to make sure that all that information, what depends on again what you're looking for. So all that um, can be found. But if you have those kind of notes that you always use, you can put it, add them in your fixed length code, order note, or receive action. And that's, you can do it. I think John can do it as a system librarian. Any questions? Let me go back to my chat. Any questions? Nope. You guys are gonna make me talk the whole time. Okay. Um, email reminder. We talked about the tickler, so I can add. So I can set it up. So you can add a tickler. So at certain times, the way ours is set up in this one is not. Let me see here. Order, select, insert. Get it. So you can set up that. So you can and the date 2016 09 and let's say 13 and send to and and subject it says take a look at needs renewal, all the items that are going to be renewed in 30 days. So it goes through constantly, look for every day, looks at the records that if the renewal is set up for that particular day, then it creates a review file and lets you know. But in here, the tickler is not. It just reminds you. On the 17th, I'm gonna get an email reminder to go take a look at this order. That's about it. The other thing that we want to talk about is how to copy a record. The process is the same, depends on where you are. That record gets copied. I'm in the order record right now. So if I go edit and say copy record, it tells me what template you want to use. Let's say I want to use that. So it kind of does three things. It picks up on the record that you want to copy, depends on your load table and how to, or copy table, how to what kind of information to be copied, and then it matches the template, and it will copy it. Because I chose that template, the acquisition type is filled, the location is filled in. The amount is not, because you never do have that in your template, but it's a book, it's for this fund, and it's on order. It even has the vendor information. Okay? So now, how do I know this is a new record? One is at the bottom left side is telling me it's a new order record. That's one. Two, here there is no record number. So that means I have not selected. Here it says new payment, there is no payment. Receive, it says new order. And here it says new. So there are many, many places that is telling me that this is a new order. So I'm going to change this to 20 and then save it. And it says list price, discount $2. Okay. Now, do you want to save changes? Purchase order will not be queued because I have not clicked on the box and say yes. So now I know this order has been placed. Okay? So it depends on, so whenever you want to copy a record, make sure you're in that record. Now if I go to bibliographic record and I say edit and copy record, now is let's do, oh no, I don't want to do that. Brief marker. So it copied using that template, but it brought all the information that I want into the record. So copy record, you have to be in appropriate record. You have to have permission to create new records. And once you are in the record, then you say copy record. And in this case, I'm not going to save it. I'm going to close it. And no, I don't. So this is how you can copy a record. And especially for your order record, you may actually have an existing order record that you want to use for so I'm still in the new record. Oops. See, I know you guys see this. It's just I can't hear you. I don't hear your comments. Okay, so now for order records, I can just go in and select it. I can copy the record from here to it, and then I can just change the few changes. Maybe it's exactly the same order, all the order information. All I have to do is to change the vendor. Now Now, there are a lot of libraries, they actually cancel order with one vendor, use the same order record, and change the status. But I was in one, I actually was in Taiwan, and that's the library actually keeps all the canceled orders. So if they were to order from a different vendor, they couldn't just repurpose the same order record. So this copying would take care of it. They have all that information. All they have to change is that vendor record, so that's how you can copy record. Now let's go into receiving. Status report. This is if you have the information from your vendor, you go ahead for Edifact. This is the status report for Edifact. You download that information from your vendor, and then you can look at it here. We don't have it right now. That's why I kind of went over it. Now, they are on the last piece of our agenda for this morning is receiving orders and creating item records, and then receiving with rapid update. So first of all, let's do with receive. If you use the receive, and I'm searching with the same, I know that one has an order record, but I can receive from here. Now, because it's on my okay. I can receive it right here. As you see, all I have to do is scan a barcode and say receive. And now it gives me the option to create an item record right there. So for streamlining, if it works with your workflow, the item doesn't get touched 15 times to do the same thing with it. So in acquisition, you receive the item, then using that receive function, it will allow you to create an item record. So let's do generic item and select, yes, it's a book, it's for main library, and I can say barcode. Of course, it's going to give me the invalid. So it says this been created, item has been created, and I say yes, close the report. And if I search for it again, and I say all, I have the item record. You see this estimated price automatically has been added. Now, if I go back to summary and look at the order record, it's because copy e-price to item record is checked. Okay. As soon as you check that, then it will transfer that information into your item record. Now, think about how many processes right now it took place. First of all, I received it. All I had to do, the date was put in. All I had to do, put a barcode in it. Because I'm using rapid receive. This receive function is also referred to as rapid receive. Because I'm using this function, it allows me to create an item record. And by creating the item record, the price information was added. The barcode of the item is already copied into the item record as well. So if you really think about it, it took away a few steps. And And also, these steps are done by different people, right? So when it's done by different people, that means the item keeps getting touched by so many different people. This way, you receive it, you create the item record, you attach the barcode, and it can go to cataloging for review. You can, make sure everything is okay. But the same work doesn't have to be done again, again, and again. So that's one thing. That's one way to receive. The other way to receive. Any questions before I go? Sorry. Emmanuel used to say you can only use declared in your record. Here we don't have yours. Is that a new? No, I actually was not showing URM. This is the tickler. If you don't see it, you can ask. It's the service commitment that you can ask innovative staff to add that tickler to your list, and you can use it. What is in ERM? It actually very sophisticated tickler because you can tell it to the renewals or every items that renewals is in 30 days or 30 days prior to the renewal date. It will calculate 30 days before what you have put in your ERM record, resource record. And it will calculate it and it will let you know and it will put it in a review file. Since you don't have ERM, the tickler that is in order record is what you saw. It's just an email reminder. But that email reminder is better than sticky notes that you may put on your desk or on a piece of paper. And of course, if you're like me, you forget it and then you forget where you put the sticky note and blah, blah, blah. This way, it will remind you, like if you want to see if an order has been received, if that you placed today, and somebody's waiting for it in 2 weeks. You want to check in 14 days to see if that item has been received. Then you use that tickler. It's not a sophisticated tickler. That's what I meant by it. Did that answer your question? Oh, that was John. Okay, good. Okay, good. Was there any other question before that? Let me just make sure. And for it to be set up from the vendor side. I have never seen it done that way, but yeah, I have never seen it to be set up on the vendor side. But you can talk to the vendor, see if they can do it. If you have the tickler on your system, talk to the vendor and see if they can set it up for you because that would be at their end. That field, if that field is available to them, because they use APIs and direct connection. So see if they can do it. Okay, so those were the two. Okay, those were the two questions. Okay, can't see other people's questions, so we're not always sure what the questions that you are answering. I'm sorry, I will repeat the question. That's a really. I have it on my screen. Is that is the chat you cannot see? I assume because I'm sharing my desktop, it's sharing the questions. I only say private chat with just me. Okay. Well, that's a really good thing to know. And I'm sorry I didn't because I assume since it's showing up on my screen that everybody will see it. Well, that's a great thing to know. Yes, I will. The question was the ERM, the difference between the tickler in ERM and the acquisition ERM, what if what I was showing, if it was ERM tickler. So it wasn't. It was just a tickler on order records. I'm not going into ERM at all. Okay. Okay. That's you learn something new every day. Okay. So that was rapid receiving. So let me go another way of receiving, which a lot of people do because of the workflow that they actually go into the order record and receive it here, put a date, and receive it this way. Now, if you do want to create an item record here using this method of receiving, you have to save this and say yes, and then go back to summary and change this to item, attach an item record. Okay, in this case, single item. Yes, I can put the box location and say okay, and use a generic. Say yes, barcode. So yes, and as you see, the price, if I want to do, I have to redo it. If I want to, the location it was taken. So these, so that's the difference. In this case, the way we have set it up, it also the display in Encore is there as a default. So there are more work to do. But if that's how you receive it, that works with your workflow, that's also available for you. Okay? So that's the difference between the two. Very close. I'm very impressed. We have 7 minutes left, and I want to see if there is any questions. If there is anything, we have, as I said, 7 minutes left before lunch break. I covered everything on the agenda, but is there any question before we break? No? Okay. Well, that silence gives you 6 more minutes added to your lunch, and we can be back at 1. I'm going to leave the session open, but I'm going to hang up on the phone. So when you come back after lunch, then go ahead and call in. I'll call in 5 minutes before, 3 minutes before 1. But that you need to call back in. But otherwise, the logging to WebEx, I will leave it going. Anything else? Okay. So be back at 1 o'clock. Have a great lunch. Bye for now. The chairperson has disconnected. The conference will now end.